attribution in the old way that we knew it is going away. At the last two companies, I didn't even start doing that other than what the defaults are. Everything is going to zero click now.
How did you manage to make the separation between signals as a whole and ABM?
The signals that I really like to use are actually the ones that are almost bespoke only to you. These are signals that no other brands or companies or whatever out there care about, and it's a competitive advantage for you.
How did you guys manage to build the signal-based engine for Scrunch?
What I'm looking for in a signal is how can we tie the signal into a pain point that we can solve? And you can identify that pain because you've found the signal, and then your product is the pain reliever for it. You're reaching out at the right moment, right time. It's the holy grail of go-to-market.
Is there a process behind it? Because so far, so many teams that at least I'm talking to wonder what is the current signal for themselves, right? Welcome everyone to My First Signal, the only show where we invite seasoned revenue drivers to discover the practical side of building a signal-driven go-to-market engine for the first time under 30 minutes. My name is Georgi and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Signalbase. Now let's get practical. All right, another day, another great guest, and another great podcast episode lined up. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have Kevin White. Kevin is currently leading the marketing function at Scrunch, which is a SEO LLM solution pretty much without making it more complex, right? And what's special about Kevin is that he really gets building signal-based engines, number one, because of the whole fundamental approach towards go-to-market, and number two, because he led growth at Common Room. So I'm sure that there is plenty to unpack here and there. Kevin, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for that intro. It was a great intro. I have to steal it sometimes. So very good. Thanks. I'm excited to get into things.
We need to keep it under 30 minutes, so I'm trying to crunch the best in the smallest frame possible. But why don't we start with a fan favorite, right? What is your hot take for the B2B go-to-market landscape right now?
Well, what is my hot take? So I mean, I have many hot takes. I think one I think that is kind of relevant for signals-based type of go-to-market is that attribution in the old way that we knew it, which is provide a UTM. That UTM is tracked through your website and all the way through your funnel, and that it's either first touch or last touch attribution. I feel like that model of doing things is going away. And I don't even at the last two companies, I didn't even try and doing that other than what the defaults are within HubSpot. Everything is going to zero click now, whether that's asking for friends, asking in Slack communities that you're in, and then also now with AI platforms, all of that, all the research is being done outside of your purview. It's being taken off your website. And so that means the referral traffic and the tracking you get on your website is probably not that accurate. There's a lot more stuff happening behind the scenes that you have no idea of what's happening. And so you can't track all those different pieces of the funnel because it's a blind spot. And so my hot take is embrace the blind spot. Maybe that's the hot take. Embrace the blind spot and just ask and verify after the fact, after someone signs up. So you can do that through a self-reported attribution form, open-ended ideally, and see, the people. We're running a LinkedIn strategy. Are people mentioning, this LinkedIn creator, or we're sponsoring this podcast? Are people mentioning that? You can also listen in on sales calls. People mention, hey, I saw your CMO posting stuff on LinkedIn, or I saw your brand show up when I used AI search to compare different competitors in the space or whatever. So I think that is the new way to do things. Maybe it's not that hot of a take because I know it's been expressed before, but I feel attribution is going away and it's going to zero click, and you got to figure out how to approximate now with zero click being the new world order.
Yeah, for sure. It's actually, although it's nothing new to many of us that are in the bubble of go-to-market, I feel like still for the larger part of the market it is. I'm saying this simply because of the fact that how we also see people leveraging evergreen signals, right? They'll just go straight into it, while winning teams would use their SDRs as a first touch point, and then they'll like run marketing campaigns towards them, retarget. Once again, like the sales teams getting in, etc., etc. So it's a very solid point actually. And now that I'm thinking about it, you were the first marketing-driven go-to-market leader that I have on the show.
Huh.
So this is going to get even more interesting because so far we had only people on the sales side. So it's super interesting to see then how did you also start leveraging the signals that are out there, and when did you even realize that such thing exists? And maybe for the marketing driven revenue leaders, how did you manage to make the separation between signals as a whole and ABM? Because honestly, I've been hearing a lot about it from marketing leaders, like, oh no, signals is just ABM, but honestly it's not. That's just my take.
Yeah. This is something that came up a lot, especially during my time at Common Room. But I think all go-to-market teams, like the whole end-to-end go-to-market stack, if you think about it, it could benefit from signals. It's not just sales that see a signal or a combination of signals and act on it. I mean, that is a very right at the middle sweet spot use case. But, marketing can benefit from signals too. Maybe they're at the account level when you're seeing an account visit your website, or you're using a product that is identifying someone on your website, and that becomes like a top of funnel signal. And so, yeah, I think about it like the user journey. Like marketing is maybe more focused at the top of funnel, especially if it's like an earlier stage company. And then sales is, waiting until there's a high enough intent level, taking action on those signals, and then customer success can even benefit from signals too, where it's like, hey, we have this customer already. Maybe some of the signal is they're doing some work in a GitHub repo that we have a hosted solution for, or maybe they're doing activity in our Slack channel for support, and like that's a signal for the customer success team to then address the pain point there, extract more. Maybe that opens up expansion opportunities, all this kind of stuff. So I guess the take there is that like signals are go to market is a complete team sport, and signals are happening across all different ends of the customer journey. To your ABM question, yes, there are companies like 6sense who have been doing this ABM approach to signals all in the last like 10 years or however long it's been around. The like connotation or what people have in their minds of what that is identifying at the account level only, and it's either this account is consuming these keywords or showing intent for these keywords because they're engaging on these publisher networks for like Forbes and Business Insider and stuff like that, and then that's kind of like where that intent is coming from. It's usually, to me, it's very like light intent, and it's really hard to identify the person behind it. And I think the difference with the signal movement is more around identifying signals that are maybe a little bit further along and higher signal, and also at the identity level. And that is still something that marketers can do. Like you can identify people on your website. You can identify people who have changed jobs. You can identify, things based on job rec openings and stuff like that. And it's a little bit more crisp, concrete, actionable, stronger signal than like the past version of ABM, which is like, let's identify any account with a pulse and then like do retargeting ads to them or something like that.
Yeah, totally. And how did you guys manage to build the signal-based engine for Scrunch? I mean, obviously, I would like to cover also the part for Common Room, but there's a unfair advantage. Same with Everett from Clay, like we spoke about their own agent. So I don't want to give that competitive advantage away, obviously. But yeah,
Sure.
let's just talk about Scrunch. Like, how are you currently approaching building that signal-based go-to-market engine?
Yeah, I mean, it's still very new. I mean, I'm only like 3 months into the role, and our main charter for the marketing team is like, how can we generate pipeline for sales? So I'm a very big believer in that is should be the more North Star metric for most SaaS companies, especially. Most marketing teams at SaaS companies. Revenue is probably like the other North Star metric for sales. We are doing a few things at Scrunch now, but it's going to develop over time. And I think that there's one thing that's great about working at Scrunch is there's like tons of different surface area for signals, and using our product to identify the signals and like use them in outbound. So I'll talk about a bit about what's working now. So we do have like the traditional like website visit signals, all that kind of stuff. Like that is something that I wanted to set up right away, and we can even automate with using a tool like Common Room. And then the kind of like the signals that I really like as to use are actually the ones that are almost bespoke only to you. It's like these are signals that like no other brands or companies or whatever out there care about, um, and like it's a competitive advantage for you. And so an example of that for Scrunch, there's a signal that we're using which is organic search traffic. We're an AI search product, so um, we provide both like visibility in benchmarking to how your brand is showing up in AI search, insights to optimize and to prioritize like how you go about showing up more in AI search, and then also the action layer to like actually control the narrative, win, like have your brand win and show up on those platforms. And so one trend and one signal that we've identified, especially for like the larger companies, is that their organic search traffic is either flat or down. And it's not because people aren't searching anymore or looking for a solution like theirs anymore. It's because they're now moving to these AI search platforms, but these brands don't have that much visibility into them. And so one thing we've done is use our product to go after target accounts and run their brand through our account, even without them signing up or anything like that. It's all public data, so it's nothing proprietary. And then we'll take that we'll identify and prioritize accounts based on their organic traffic going down, and then we'll say like, hey, you might be panicked because your traffic is going down, but it's actually probably going to this other channel. Your other competitors are winning in this channel, but if you just win in this channel that is new, then that traffic will then be recovered and even like accelerate because there's low-hanging fruit within this channel that you can tap into. And so like that type of message is like, I don't know how many other people, I mean, I'm sure there's other companies who care about organic search traffic going down as a signal, but it's pretty specific to us. I don't think there's like a lot of platforms out there that like offer that via API and all this kind of stuff. And so that is something that I like as an example compared to something that's more obvious, like a job change or a website visit. Like this is very specific to and has tie into our product, and our product can offer value there. And so that's like often what I'm looking for in a signal is like how can we tie the signal into a pain point that we can solve.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask, okay, is there a process behind it? Because so far, so many teams that at least I'm talking to wonder what is the current signal for themselves, right? Like, do you have a mental model or a framework that goes something within the lines of, okay, your product, the pain point that you're solving, etc., or it's more like basic growth one-on-one?
Yeah. We did this when I was at Segment actually, is the way the process to identify what the right signals are to do customer research if possible. That can be done through like call recordings now and in other ways, but even better if you can actually like interview and talk to some of your customers and be like, and ask them what I like to think of as like jobs to be done questions. So it's like, hey, what was happening before you in your world before you used our product? What was the trigger that got you to check out our product or like get interested? What objections did you have? What made you think that we were the right solution, or what made you confident that we were the right solution? Like these are actually questions that are really good to ask to get a case study out of a customer, but they're also good for getting like that intel of like what is going on in their world that is a change catalyst. And so that's what you're looking for. Is you're looking for like this is a trigger that caused this person to have enough pain or set off on some initiative that they went out and it started to explore your product. And if that's happening, there's probably a lot of chances that they're also finding competitors and not you, or like not seeing your brand whatever channels or however they're trying to explore and do their product discovery. And so if you can identify that signal, it almost essentially gives you permission to reach out to those accounts in a way where they're going to respond really well, and it's all going to feel like natural because you're reaching out and solving a real pain point for them. And that's like what you're looking for, is like, how can I solve this pain? And you can identify that pain because you have found the signal, and then your product is kind of like the pain reliever for it. That's like to me would be like, is like the best case scenario, is you're reaching out and like it's right at the right moment because like it's right person, right message, right time. It's like the holy grail of go to market. And signals allow you to identify that, and then like when you reach out, everything just kind of feels natural, and like you get higher conversion rates, and like yada yada yada, all this good stuff happens.
Yeah, this puts me back into episode number 2 and 3 too with Frank Saunders from Salesforce. He mentioned exactly that thing around making copy that converts very well, and the tips in there that people should follow. So definitely for the listeners, go check this thing out. And so as episode number 3 with Ilya from Hey where he also describes the problem with hyper personalization versus hyper relevancy. What's your take on personalization, by the way?
Yes, I have a hot take on personalization and that it doesn't work, or people don't care about it. I mean, I shouldn't say it doesn't work, but people don't care about if you reach out about their alma mater, or if you reach out and say, I saw you change this job, or some insight you found by just like scraping their LinkedIn profile or something like that. If you put yourself in the shoes of the person you're reaching out to, like they're probably busy executives if they have budget, and they're trying to problem solve and prioritize ruthlessly, and they have inboxes full of messages. And so if you just send them something that's like something they already know about themselves, it's not really offering a lot of value. And so I think personalization for the sake of personalization, maybe it'll get you a few extra meetings or something like that, because you're catering to some of their interests. But I think that doesn't like scale in the long term. What does scale or what does work? And I guess this is also like a facet of personalization, is identifying those trigger points and identifying like those signals that actually matter. And like, yeah, that's a form of personalization, but it's a form of personalization that connects like what is this business problem they're trying to solve, and provides them some sort of like insight, or insight that they didn't know about, or just like it's top of mind for them, and like that's a priority, so therefore they'll respond. Like I think that is the level of personalization that signals offer, versus just personalization for the sake of personalization on its own.
Totally. And when we speak about fuck ups, right? Because so most of the time, like the SDRs happen to fuck up within the copy itself. I'm wondering, like, what are the biggest mistakes that you did with your own signal based engines? Not only at Scrunch, not only at Common Room, but as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, back a long time ago, and this would be a great person to have on the show too. There's this guy, his name is Guillaume Caban. He is like the OG of this whole signal based thing, was doing the website visit to prospecting to personalized outbound in like 2017 or 2016 when I just like joined Segment. And I inherited that like stack from him. But like he just kind of went through like all this kind of trial and error and stuff. And I know that it's something that's a little bit kind of, I would say, embrace the messiness of it. You're not always going to get things right. Like you're going to have a enrichment that is off or includes ink, or the person moved the job or something like that. And what you want to do is put some messages out there, put some experiments out there and see what works, see what messaging works. But then like you're going to have rough edges, and you can just polish those rough edges over time, where it's like, hey, this enrichment was wrong. This, we ended up getting a bunch of inbound, a bunch of interest from these accounts that aren't qualified. That's all part of the process of like understanding like what works, what doesn't. And I would say, rather than trying to have perfection and being worried about like something's going to go wrong, or I'm going to have like the wrong name or the wrong company or whatever, it's going to be inaccurate. I think to me, I'm much more of a type of, do it, get some data points, refine, and, repeat over time to get better, versus like try and get it perfect and have perfection like right out of the box.
Absolutely love that. Yeah, and I think it's just part of the whole go-to-market nature, right? Like you fail, you learn, you build momentum, you leverage on that momentum,
Yeah.
and et cetera, et cetera.
I've certainly, the automated version of me has sent out, inaccurate things where I got the person's name wrong. There was like the funding amount was wrong. They were at a different company. I've spammed a bunch of people before by accidentally like putting in the wrong parameters in a marketing automation platform. Like I've made all the mistakes. I think mistakes are part of learning, and don't be too worried about it. Of course, you want to like try and mitigate them as much as possible, but like it's never going to be perfect. And so don't try and strive for perfection. It's just going to hold you back from shipping.
Speaking about learning, how should teams that are looking towards adopting Signal for the first time should take the first step? Like how should they approach this process of adopting them?
I had this like chart that was like, based on if you map out your signals, there's kind of like this one side of the chart is like really high intent, low volume of signals. And then the other side is like really high amount of signal, and very low intent, where it's like at the very left-hand side of that chart would be cold outbound. And then the very right side would be like a demo request. and there's like a sweet spot there where and I like to start at the far end of it of intent and work backwards. But there is a far end of intent that's like too high intent where you can just automate it. So there's like demo requests and hand raisers and stuff like that. Like if someone's doing that, like yeah, that's a signal, but you don't need to have a
A place,
BDR, follow up with it. You can just use, automation tool like Default or Chili Pipe or whatever and handle that. So it's like there's this kind of like sweet spot like right after that where it's like, oh, they did this one thing. They visited 5 pages on your website, and one of them was a terms of service page or a security page, and that was like a really high intent signal. And like, so I would essentially like I try and map out like here's the spectrum of signals that we care about, um, and then start with what is the highest intent, which will have the highest conversion if we act on that. Really nail that, and then move on to the next, and just kind of like scale up over time. The one thing I will say too is like if that sounds counter to what I was saying before, of like the best signal is your bespoke signal. Like often your bespoke signal for us at Scrunch right now, that website traffic signal or competitive signal of like your competitors are beating you in AI search, like that converts really well. And so usually like those bespoke signals are actually like at the pretty far end of the spectrum of high intent and like high conversion.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Because we're at the end of it, Kevin, what would be one last piece of advice that is underrated and you would give to all the go-to-market leaders out there?
Yeah. I kind of touched on it earlier with the perfection thing, but my advice is don't listen to me, don't listen to other people, go out there, do it. You would learn much more by doing. And so just getting your hands dirty and like going out and trying things would be my piece of advice for people listening is to go out there. And if you're spending half an hour listening to this, spend 3 hours or an order of magnitude more time actually in going out and trying to do things, and you'll learn a lot more.
Yes, sir. That was awesome. Thank you very much for jumping on the show, Kevin. And if you guys like to hear more from me and Kevin, let us know in the comments. We'll see what can be done. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Awesome. Thank you.